Hi, I'm Debbie Austin. I'm a family carer. I've got a 16-year-old daughter who has a severe learning disability and is autistic.
I'm Jillian Allen and I'm also a family carer. I've got a son who's 16 and a daughter who's 18. They're both autistic and they also have a learning disability.
So today we've come together to talk about the 12 key components of positive behavioural support, which we'll probably refer to as PBS. And as we know, positive behavioural support is all about improving the quality of life of people as we want for our children.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's all you want, isn't it? I want Evie and Joe to have the best life they possibly can.
Yes.
And I am learning as they're getting older that that's very much about what they think is the best possible life for them, not necessarily what I think. And just making sure, I suppose, that we can support them in the way that means they have the same choices, the same opportunities, the same chance to have just a really, really good life.
That's right. And actually you have to know someone really well, don't you, to understand whether they are what someone's experiencing. When I think of Lucy and what she's experiencing, is that fun for her? Does she like it? We took her to a singing group and a couple of years ago we started, and when she first went, we went 5 minutes and then she stood up and she left, and I had to say to the singing teacher, that was really successful, she loved it, because to everyone else it would look like she didn't. 2 years later we're going for an hour and a half. So you have to kind of know the person really well, and that's where families come in, isn't it? Because we do, and we've probably got a good chance of trying to work a plan out for our children if we're included in that.
Absolutely, because I think other people aren't going to know what a win looks like, what happiness looks like, what engagement looks like. And if we can just have those conversations and support our young people to be understood, then they're so much more likely to have a good life. So key component number 2 is all about constructional approaches and self-determinism. And I think for my kids, the world can sometimes feel like a bit of a difficult place to navigate.
I think that's right. And I think when you think about this component, it is around choice and control, isn't it? It's about people, even with Lucy's level of learning disability, being able to choose things she wants and have that choice respected and listened to, things that are available in our local community, even things that are classed as SEN. You know, I look at them and what they are activities that have been differentiated down from mainstream activities, made a bit easier, made a bit simpler, but nowhere near accessible for Lucy, because the language is too hard, the concepts are too hard. And so we can look out there and people would say, oh, there's loads of things she can do. But actually, when you've got a really severe learning disability, there's very little out there, isn't there?
Having mum always take you everywhere. If the average teenager gets to go out with friends and gets, you know, all of that freedom, which in order to make certain possibilities a reality for the kids, it's always mum going or you don't go at all.
So the third component is partnership working and support for key people, which I think is going to be close to both of our hearts, isn't it? Because as a parent, you know, obviously we love our children, we want the best for them, and we are their biggest supporter. As Valuing People Now says, you know, people leave the home, but they never leave the family.
I can completely relate. As a teacher, I would sit in a multidisciplinary meeting and I would be listened to.
Yes.
And as a parent, people may nod, but I don't always feel that I am listened to. And you want to develop those really good working relationships with teams and for your views to be heard. And I think if your young people as ours are not easily able to participate in those meetings themselves or voice their own views and opinions, they need us. They need us to advocate for them. But equally, services need us because we are that conduit between our young people and the service. We're helping interpret both for each other.
Exactly. And actually, it's not okay, is it? It's not okay for services to think it's all right to engage with us, maybe speak to us once a year at a meeting, or maybe hold a coffee morning and say, yes, we've spoken to parents. What we want to be able to do is contact a service or anyone who's supporting our loved ones and ask a question when that question needs to be asked, have an answer when we need the answer. So component 4 is the elimination of aversive, restrictive and abusive practices.
And certainly my daughter, who has experienced restraint and seclusion many, many years ago, I still see the effects of that trauma in her now. She hasn't forgotten how it was to be restrained, and in particular how it was to be locked in a room and not allowed to leave. And it's probably 8 years, maybe more, since that happened. And recently she was in her bedroom and I was with her, and she went to leave and the door stuck as she went to open it. And the look on her face, the look of terror and panic at the thought that she was locked in a room, as she had been locked in a room before, even now, many, many years later, was obviously terrifying. Yeah. Terrifying for her. There's no justification for that.
No, absolutely
whatsoever.
Not. The end never justifies the means in this situation, does it? And the trauma, and it's trauma, isn't it? And it's trauma
Absolutely.
for you, Jillian, as a parent, to know that your child experienced that anyway. And I'm sure you probably weren't part of the decision.
I wasn't even told. No.
Exactly.
The one that really sticks in my head is shame.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Shame is an aversive.
Yes.
Making people feel really bad because they've done something, because they got angry, or you know, they made a mistake, or I mean, and it's about people who don't have another way
absolutely
to express what it is that they are expressing, and then we're going to make them feel bad about it. And I do recognise that obviously we have to keep people safe. We have to make decisions sometimes that are difficult decisions, but it needs to be within that context of kindness and understanding, and that real push for working out what is someone telling us here. You know, that broader context of acceptance and kindness and thought, and that keeps everybody safe.
And we'd be the same. I think we'd be the same if you take away our ability to use language, put us in a different place where our language isn't understood and we've got a need. We'll use behaviours. Of course we will. It's
Absolutely.
a human thing to do.
And we do, actually,
yes,
don't we?
We do.
As human beings, we all use behaviour that could be considered to be a behaviour of concern sometimes. But if you're somebody who doesn't have a learning disability or who isn't autistic, that's viewed very differently,
it really
isn't it?
It
Nobody writes an entry on a plan if I get cross one day. You know, it's very different.
Yeah, it stays forever, doesn't it, for our loved ones.
Yeah.